The Aeneid of Virgil by Robert Fagles. Book 1. Safe Haven After Storm. Wars and a man I sing, an exile driven on by fate. He was the first to flee the coast of Troy, destined to reach Lavinian shores and Italian soil. Yet many blows he took on land and sea from the gods above, thanks to cruel Juno's relentless rage, and many losses he bore in battle too, before he could found a city, bring his gods to Latium, source of the Latin race, the Alban lords, and the high walls of Rome. Tell me, Muse, how it all began. Why has Juno outraged? What could wound the queen of the gods with all her power? Why did she force a man, so famous for his devotion, to brave such rounds of hardship, bear such trials? Can such rage inflame the immortals' hearts? There was an ancient city held by Tyrian settlers, Carthage, facing Italy in the Tiber's river's mouth. But far away, a rich city trained in fearsome war. Juno loved it, they say, beyond all other lands in the world. Even beloved Samos, second best. Here she kept her armor, here her chariot too, and Carthage would rule the nations of the earth if only the fates were willing. This was Juno's goal from the start, and so she nursed her city's strength. But she heard a race of men, sprung of Trojan blood, would one day topple down her Tyrian stronghold, breed an arrogant people ruling far and wide, proud in battle, destined to plunder Libya. So the fates were spinning out the future. This was Juno's fear. And the goddess never forgot the old campaign that she had waged at Troy for her beloved Argos. No, not even now would the causes of her rage, her bitter sorrows, drop from the goddess's mind. They festered deep within her, galled her still. The judgment of Paris, the unjust slight to her beauty, the Trojan stock she loathed, the honors showered on Ganymede, ravished to the skies. Her fury inflamed by all of this, the daughter of Saturn drove over endless oceans, Trojans left by the Greeks and brute Achilles. Juno kept them far from Latium, forced by the fates to wander around the seas of the world, year in, year out. Such a long, hard labor it was to found the Roman people. Now, with the ridge of Sicily barely out of sight, they spread sail for the open ocean, their spirits buoyant, their bronze beaks churning the waves to foam as Juno, nursing deep in her heart the everlasting wound, said to herself, "Defeated am I? Give up the fight? Powerless now to keep that Trojan king from Italy? Ah, but of course, the fates bar my way. And yet Minerva could burn the fleet to ash and drown my Argive crews in the sea. And all for one mad crime of a single man, Ajax, son of Oileus. She hurled Jove's all-consuming bolts from the clouds. She shattered a fleet and whipped the swells with gales. And then, as he gasped his last in flames from his riven chest, she swept him up in a cyclone, impaled the man on a crag. But I, who walk in majesty, I, the queen of the gods, the sister and the wife of Jove, I must wage a war, year after year, on just one race of men. Who will revere the power of Juno after this, lay gifts on my altar, lift his hands in prayer?" With such anger seething inside her fiery heart, the goddess reached Aeolia, breeding ground of storms, their home swarming with raging gusts from the south. Here in a vast cave, King Aeolus rules the winds. brawling to break free, howling in full gale force as he chains them down in their dungeon, shackled fast. They bluster and protest, roaring around their prison bars with a mountain above them all, booming with their rage. But high in his stronghold Iolaus wields his scepter, soothing their passions, tempering their fury. Should he fail, surely they'd blow the world away, hurling the land and sea and deep sky through space. Fearing this, the Almighty Father banished the winds to that black cavern, piled above them a mountain mass, and imposed on all a king empowered by binding pact to rein them back on command or let them gallop free. Now Juno made this plea to the Lord of the Winds: Iolaus, the Father of gods and King of men, gave you the power to calm the waves or rouse them with your gales. A race I loathe is crossing the Tuscan sea, transporting Troy to Italy, bearing their conquered household gods. Thrash your winds to fury, sink their warships, overwhelm them or break them apart, scatter their crews, drown them all. I happen to have some sea nymphs, 14 beauties. Diopeia, the finest of all by far, I'll join you in lasting marriage, call her yours, and for all her years to come she will live with you, and make you the proud father of handsome children. Such service earns such gifts. Iolaus warmed to Juno's offer. Yours is the task, my queen, to explore your heart's desires. Mine is the duty to follow your commands. Yes, thanks to you, I rule this humble little kingdom of mine. You won me the scepter, Jupiter's favors too, and a couch to lounge on, set at the gods' feasts. You made me lord of the storm winds, king of cloudbursts. With such thanks, swinging his spear around, he strikes home at the mountain's hollow flank, and outcharge the winds through the breach he'd made, like armies on attack, in a blasting whirlwind tearing through the earth. Down they crash on the sea, the east wind, south wind, all as one, with the southwest squalls in hot pursuit. Heaving up from the ocean depths, huge killer breakers rolling toward the beaches. The crews are shouting, cables screeching, suddenly cloud banks blotting out the sky, the light of day from the Trojan's sight, as pitch-black night comes brooding down on the sea, with thunder crashing pole to pole, bolt on bolt, blazing across the heavens. Death everywhere, men facing instant death. At once Aeneas limps limp in the chill of fear, groans, and lifting both his palms toward the stars, cries out, 3, 4 times blessed, my comrades, lucky to die beneath the soaring walls of Troy, beneath their parents' eyes, if only I'd down your right hand. Diomedes, strongest Greek afield, and poured out my life on the battlegrounds of Troy, where raging Hector lies, pierced by Achilles' spear, where mighty Sarpedon lies, where the Simois river swallows down and churns beneath its tides so many shields and helmets and corpses of the brave. Flinging cries as a screaming gust of the north wind pounds against his sail, raising waves sky high, the oars shatter, prow twists round, taking the breakers broadside on and over Aeneas' decks, a mountain of water towers, massive, steep. Some men hang on billowing crests, some, as the sea gapes, glimpse through the waves the bottom waiting, a surge aswirl with sand. 3 ships the south wind grips, and spins against those boulders lurking in mid-ocean, rocks the Italians call the altars, 1 great spine breaking the surface. 3 the east wind sweeps from open sea on the Syrtes reefs, a grim sight, girding them round with walls of sand. 1 ship that carried the Lycian units, led by staunch Orontes, before Aeneas' eyes, a toppling summit of water, strikes the stern and hurls the helmsman overboard, pitching him headfirst, twirling his ship 3 times, right on the spot, till the ravenous whirlpool gulps her down. Here and there You can sight some sailors bobbing in heavy seas, strewn in the welter now, the weapons, men, stray spars, and treasures saved from Troy. Now Ilonius' sturdy ship, now brave Achates, now the galley that carried Abas, another, aged Alettus. Yes, the storm routs them all, down to the last craft the joints split, beams spring, and the lethal flood pours in. All the while Neptune sensed the furor above him, the roaring seas first and the storm breaking next, his standing waters boiling up from the seabed, churning back. And the mighty god, stirred to his depths, lifts his head from the crest, and serene in power, gazing out over all his realm, he sees Aeneas' squadrons scattered across the ocean. Trojans overwhelmed by the surf and the wild crashing skies. Nor did he miss his sister Juno's cunning wrath at work. He summons the east and west wind, takes them to task. What insolence, trusting so to your lofty birth! You winds, you dare make heaven and earth a chaos, raising such a riot of waves without my blessings? You! What I won't do. But first, I had better set to rest the flood you ruffled so. Next time, trust me, you will pay for your crimes with more than just a scolding. Away with you, quick, and give your king this message. Power over the seas and ruthless trident is mine, not his. It's mine by lot, by destiny. His place, east wind, is the rough rocks, where you all at home. Let him bluster there and play the king in his court. Let Iolus rule his bolted dungeon of the winds. Quicker than his command, he calms the heaving seas, putting the clouds to rout and bringing back the sun. Struggling shoulder to shoulder, Triton and Sympho hoist and heave the ships from the jagged rocks as the god himself whisks them up with his trident, clearing a channel through the deadly reefs, his chariot skimming over the cresting waves on spinning wheels to set the seas to rest. Just as, all too often, some huge crowd is seized by a vast uprising, the rabble runs amok, all slaves to passion, rocks, firebrands flying. Rage finds them arms, but then, if they chance to see a man among them, one whose devotion and public service lend him weight, they stand there, stock still, with their ears alert, as he rules their furor with his words and calms their passion. So the crash of the breakers all fell silent, once their father, gazing over his realm under clear skies, flicks his horses, giving them free rein, and his eager chariot flies. Now bone-weary, Aeneas' shipmates make a run for the nearest landfall. Wheeling prows around, they turn for Libya's coast. There is a haven shaped by an island shielding the mouth of a long, deep bay, its flanks breaking the force of combers pounding in form of the sea, while drawing them off into calm receding channels. Both sides of the harbor, rock cliffs tower, crowned by twin crags that menace the sky, overshadowing reaches of sheltered water, quiet and secure. Over them, as a backdrop looms a quivering wood, above them rears a grove, bristling dark with shade, and fronting the cliff, a cave under hanging rocks with fresh water inside, seats cut into the native stone, the home of nymphs. Never a need of cables here to moor a weathered ship, no anchor with biting flukes to bind her fast. Aeneas puts in here with the bare 7 ships, saved from his whole fleet. How keen their longing for dry land underfoot as the Trojans disembark, taking hold of the earth, their last best hope, and fling their brine-racked bodies on the sand. Achates is first to strike a spark from flint, then works to keep it alive in dry leaves, cups it around with kindling, feeds it chips, and briskly fans the tinder into flame. Then, spent as they were from all their toil, they set out food, the bounty of Ceres, drenched in sea salt, Ceres' utensils too, her mills and troughs, and bend to parch with fire the grain they had salvaged, grind into fine on stones. While they see to their meal, Aeneas scales a crag, straining to scan the sea reach far and wide. Is there any trace of Antheus now, tossed by the gales, or his warships banked with oars? Or Capys, perhaps, or Caicus stern adorned with shields? Not a ship in sight, but he does spot 3 stags roaming the shore, an entire herd behind them, grazing down the glens in a long ranked line. He halts, grasps his bow and his flying arrows. The weapons his trusty aide Achates keeps at hand. First the leaders, antlers branching over their high heads, he brings them down, then turns on the herd, his shafts stampeding the rest like rabble into the leafy groves. Shaft on shaft, no stopping until he stretches 7 hefty carcasses on the ground, a triumph, one for each of his ships, and makes for the cove, divides the kill with his whole crew, and shares out the wine that good Acestes, princely man, had brimmed in their casks the day they left Sicilian shores.